Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. Today we're going to talk about money. This stuff, the green stuff. More or less, what are we going to be talking about money for? We're going to be talking about the ethicalness of receiving payment for your work as a blacksmith. Whether this is that you're a hobbyist, you're a beginner, you're an advanced level smith, or you're just a downright professional, or who knows what. Okay, whatever you want to consider yourself or whatever skill level at, this will apply to you. So, at some point, may not be today, but it will be sometime very soon in the near future, you will have somebody that will argue your wages with you. What you're worth, whether you're worth it or not, and will make quite a hullabaloo about it, to be quite honest with you. They'll make quite the deal about it, make you feel like you're scum for charging for your work, or they'll complain about the cost of that work, that you're too high, and say that the prices you're asking are not fair, or fair market value. So this little bit of a rant here about money and finance and getting paid for your work comes right down to the essence of, what do you yourself believe about money? Do you believe that you are inherently entitled to money with no work? Do you feel that it is a fundamental right for you to have money in your bank account, to buy your Porsches and your yachts and things of that nature? Do you feel that money is something that should be worked for very hard, and it should be something that should never be gotten without the sweat of your brow? A lot of these questions will tell a lot about you and what you believe about yourself, the world as a whole, economy, finance, all these good things. All these good things can basically be summed up around the subject of money. So, with that being said, is it unethical to charge for your work? And I'm going to tell you flat out, being the capitalist that I am, no, it is not unethical to charge for your work. Is it unethical to charge the amount that you think is fair for the amount of energy and time spent into your work? I'm going to tell you right out, no, it is not. Is there such thing as a fair market value for the item that you create? No, there is not. And the reason why is price is subjective to the buyer. Price on your ironwork is subjective to who is buying the ironwork. I know people who would never spend $50 on a gift for somebody. They think it's way too high, it's way out of the budget, and they'll never spend over $5 on a gift. Then I also know people, and I know them personally, that $50 seems like a lowly amount to them, and that it would not be worth, it's the same as $5. Somebody who's willing to spend $50 will look at $5 as being cheap. Somebody who's only wants to spend $5 will look at somebody spending $50 as being too expensive. So, price is subjective to the actual buyer or the customer. So bearing that all in mind, how do you set your prices? And who dictates what is an unethical amount of this green stuff here that makes the world go round? Well, there's some people out there that they believe that they're an absolute expert in this, and that their opinion is the only opinion that matters when it comes to the subject of finance. Obviously, if you make more than they do a year, then you are an unethical person. You've gotten it by ill-gotten gains. Certainly, you did not sweat for it or earn it in any sort of way. Mainly because they cannot afford your work. Now, I am happy to report this is not most customers. Most customers will never argue something out with you. And in fact, most of my customers never argue anything out with me. But what I do find is, on occasion, on our videos here on YouTube, around the subject of money and finance, I will get that occasional person who will ask seriously? That much money for that? And it implies a level of ignorance on their part. They have already made an assumption based upon their own billfold of what is an ethical amount of money to charge for that item and what they could possibly make it for, or where they think they could get it done cheaper. And so therefore, they come up with an ethics argument around a price point on an item. Roy Adams of Christ-Centered Ironworks does not own a Ferrari. I own a 465-pound anvil. Again, not as expensive as a Ferrari. But this anvil cost me $3,200 total to put in my shop because I wanted it. Did I need it? No. Was it an unethical price that I paid for it? No. It was just something that I had found value in. To me, it was worth paying the cost of $3,200 for this anvil for doing the type of work that I do and what I was most interested in pursuing. If you are a Ferrari enthusiast, then you will get yourself a Ferrari. And that Ferrari will make you the happiest person on the planet. I have no interest in Ferraris. So therefore, since my interests differ, my price points differ. I think you'd be insane to pay as much money as you would for a Ferrari. Nothing against Ferraris, I think they're a great car. I'm just not a car enthusiast. So, with that being said, you can really apply this principle to so many different things in your life where you might be tempted to say and tell somebody, hey, I think you're charging way too much for this. It's kind of like your boss saying, hey, I think I pay you way too much for the work that you've done at work today. In fact, funny thing is, some of you have probably heard that statement before. So, so this little rant, think of how you felt when somebody said that, and then apply that to when somebody says that about your ironwork. And you will get the ideal or the concept of what I'm telling you here. Just because your billfold cannot afford someone's work, or just because your billfold can't afford that big old 72-inch, flat screen OLED display TV, and you have to settle for the last year's model, that does not mean that the price of the new TV is an unethical price to charge to somebody. Again, this is something that every person has to make up for themselves and decide for themselves. But the ethics question on selling your ironwork for a price, selling it for a living wage, selling it for what some people would say is an extreme amount of money, is absolutely bogus. I do not make items that are functional. I make pretty things. Pretty things cost a lot more than functional things, sometimes. Sometimes functional things mean more than what pretty things do. And it's just the nature of the business. I have set a price point and a shop rate that I am comfortable working at in my shop. I get orders based upon that price point, and I sell ironwork to certain people at that price point. You will do the same in yours. This is where I say it's really, really, really critical for you not to compare yourself, your business, or your product to others. You can take and look at those things as reference points, but your business, your client base, they're something completely different. And it's something that you need to take into consideration when you're pricing your work. You may not have the time, experience, and name built. Your brand may not be built up to the point where you can charge the type of work for the same item relatively, okay? Because no one here is ever going to make an item exactly like me. You'll make it close, you might make it look almost like it, but it's going to be unique to you. And so with that being said, since you will never get to that point where I'm at, because it's my ideal, I had it first, I made it first, whatever. You come up with a different ideal, you add your own styling on it, right? Because of that feature right there alone, this is one of those things, this is where I say do not compare yourself. You don't know the person's market space. You don't know their contacts. You don't know how much money they spent. They might live in a region that coal is super expensive, as where I live in coal country, and I'm just blessed to have the coal right at my disposal anytime I want. They may not have these luxuries. And if they do not have these luxuries and they're trying to sell something for the same price point I am, they may be losing money. So therefore they have to charge more than I am for their business, their shop, and things of that nature. And that's perfectly fine. So don't get hung up on price tag. Put it into your own eyes and your own pocketbooks. Think about, does this have that amount of value to me? If it doesn't have that amount of value to you personally, then pass. Go on to something that has more value to you. So that's that little end of this rant today about that. It's a Roy rant about the ethnic, this ethical, not ethnic, what am I saying? This ethical consumption of using money for stuff, pricing your work, things like that. Don't get caught up on the numbers. Look at things where it's either worth it to you or it's not, and make your buying decisions based upon that. So, without further ado, I'm going to get back to my little project here I'm working on. It's a small little acanthus leaf that's going to go on a saw frame, a decorative saw frame that I'm working on, and perhaps for a class I'm going to be getting ready to take with Tom Latney himself. So, that'll end this Roy rant. Thank you for staying with me throughout this whole little 12-minute long video. Apologize for it being so long. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you love the channel and would like to support the videos that we produce and the things we do here, remember to go check out our blacksmithpdfs.com page, our website, and find additional information over there and resources that will help you along your blacksmithing journey. Everything from e-courses that we are now offering to a whole host of power hammer plans and products that are designed to take and help you pursue your business or this great craft as a hobby. So without further ado, God bless y'all, and we will catch you on the next one. Thank you all so much for watching.